Hey folks, JD Richey here from Fish Alaska Magazine. I'm also a full-time fishing guide in Alaska and California, and I spend all my summers here on the Togiak River fishing for kings. And this is kind of where my whole fascination with the soft bead revolution started. I'd been using them for steelhead for a long time down in lower 48. And a couple years ago on the Togiak, we were bobber fishing for kings and catching tons and tons of fish like we do using eggs. And I just started thinking maybe there's a way that we can catch fish without so many of them swallowing. So I started trying these being our soft beads. And I originally started out with the 16 millimeter size here, and then moved up to the, actually that's a 20 there, and then got to the 25s, and now they're making a 32. I haven't tried those yet, but the 25s are my main one. I don't know if you can really see that. That one's a one I saved from last season. It's just got tons and tons and tons of bite marks in it. And what I found was after I started using it about midway through the season 2 years ago, I never went back to a piece of bait. I've just been bobber dogging with the soft bead for kings. No scent. It doesn't make any sense, really. I don't know why they eat them per se, but they do. And it has just totally revolutionized my kingfish. And in fact, the lodge where I work, everybody has switched. And so what's happened is you get these fish on these little bitty hooks. They're not swallowing it. They're hooked right here in the corner of the jaw or the top of the lip most of the time. So you don't have any fish swallowing. So we can release tons of fish with very minimal damage to them. So it's pretty awesome. So let me show you how I set it up real quick. So I tied this leader yellow so you can see it a little better. And then we're going to use owner cutting point straight eye octopus style hooks. And the size of the hook depends on which size beads you're using. So up to 1/0 for the big beads and then down to 4s for the smaller beads. So I've already got a hook tied on there. And the way you get these guys on is they come with a T-stop. These are just like a little plastic golf tee that's threaded onto a piece of wire. And what you do here, let's see if you can see this. I'm going to run the leader through the hole in the wire. If I could see it without my glasses. There we go. And then you just pull that guy through. You can drop that. Now you've got the T-stop on your leader. And I'm just going to slide that down. So there it is. It just slides freely. And I'm going to stop it just above the hook, just like that. Okay, next step is to thread a bead on there, and these beads come with a hole. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a hole in there through the center, and we are just going to thread that guy through. And in Alaska, I'm using 40-pound leader, which is pretty heavy leader, but we want to be able to get those fish in without wearing them out too much. So this is definitely lighter leader for this, but 40-pound is good up there. Fish don't seem to be leader shy, so now I've got it to where it's almost on the T-stop. Then you just slide it down. Sometimes you got to go to the hook. That gets it on the T-stop. And then we're going to back it up. And the length you use there between the bead and the hook, I usually like about 2 or 3 fingers, but you have to check your local regulations because some places they require you to run a shorter distance. Okay, so that's the leader with the bead on there, okay? Now, I'll show you my bobber dogging rig here. And you can see I'm using a Hawken float. It's got the flat bottom on it, which helps push, helps the current push it downstream really easily. And then we're going to use a piece of slinky sinker or pencil lead, just enough to get this thing ticking along the bottom. And then there's the leader behind it. Now in this picture, I've got a piece of egg, but you can just put the bead there, same thing. So that is the basic rig. We're throwing it upstream a little bit and letting it drift down. That you want that float to lay flat and then just kind of drift along like that. And if that thing goes down, you reel down and set the hook. If it goes down and you jerk, a lot of times you're not getting a very strong hook set into the fish's mouth, because what happens is there's usually more slack line out there than you think. And so you go to jerk it and you're just kind of straightening out the slack line and not really putting any pressure on that hook into the fish's mouth. So remember the mantra, reel till you feel. So when that bobber goes down, you're real tight down to it, and then you set the hook, and that's when you got him. So that is our tip for the day. You can check me out at fishwithjd.com.